Have you ever wondered what is actually hidden on the deepest encrypted pages of the internet? I don't mean some cliche data leaks or sketchy software. I am talking about things that defy our understanding of biology and the laws of nature itself. I have always been drawn to the unknown, to secrets hidden from the eyes of ordinary people. And so, a few weeks ago, while wandering through the closed forums of the deep web, I stumbled upon one very strange, half-empty auction. The page was designed minimalistically, a black background and a single lot hidden behind a blurred photograph. The description simply read, Omega-class biological specimen, unique marine life form. The price was, to put it mildly, astronomical, but my curiosity, as always, defeated common sense. My hands reached for the keyboard on their own, my fingers quickly typed in the necessary commands, and the cryptocurrency flew off into the unknown. I didn't know exactly what I was going to get, but the seller guaranteed that this content would blow up the internet. And he didn't lie, except the price for this content turned out to be way too high. 3 days of agonizing waiting passed before there was a muffled knock on my door. There was no one on the porch, just a heavy metal thermal case. It was covered in a thick layer of white frost, radiating a piercing cold and a faint, barely perceptible smell of ozone and iodine. I dragged this box into the room and put on thick rubberized gloves because the metal burned with cold even through them. The camera recorded my every hand movement. I slowly unlatched the massive metal locks. There was a loud hissing sound, and a thick white cloud of freezing vapor burst out, instantly cooling the air in the room. When the steam cleared a bit, I saw him, resting on a bed of crushed ice, slowly moving his thin, delicate legs, lay a crab. But this wasn't an ordinary crab. He was about the size of the palm of my hand, but his shell shimmered with an incredible deep sapphire color. This blue tint was so saturated that he seemed to glow from within with a faint neon light. A strange, almost symmetrical pattern resembling ancient runes was etched on his back. I carefully offered my hand, and he hesitantly climbed onto my glove. He was surprisingly heavy for his size, and his claws looked disproportionately sharp. I named him Crabbage. At that moment, he seemed like the most harmless and incredible creature on the planet. I decided to be the best owner for him. I spent the entire next night building the perfect home for him. I took the largest glass terrarium I could find. I covered half the bottom with special white quartz pebbles mixed with the purest fine sand to create the perfect beach texture. I filled the other half with seawater, installing a powerful filtration system that created a light, soothing current. The water murmured quietly, reflecting the light of a special lamp that simulated soft morning sunshine. It was the coziest place in my house. When I lowered Cravitch onto the white stones, he froze at first, and then joyfully ran toward the water, kicking up tiny splashes. It was time for the first feeding. I bought premium seafood, the freshest red caviar, pieces of raw squid, and the most tender mini oysters. I took wooden chopsticks, carefully picked up a large, translucent orange fish egg, and brought it to his face. Cravitch reacted instantly. His tiny mandibles started moving. He deftly intercepted the egg with his claws and popped it into his mouth. It was unbelievably cute. He ate with such an appetite that I couldn't stop smiling. In those first few days, he was just the perfect pet. He sat in his aquarium, amusingly sorting through the pebbles, and when I worked at the computer, I often noticed him carefully watching the movements of my fingers on the keyboard through the glass. But this idyll did not last long. Exactly 1 week later, I noticed the first strange change. In the morning, I found an empty, transparent shell in the aquarium. Cravitch had molted, but when I saw the crab himself, I couldn't believe my eyes. Overnight, he had tripled in size. Now he barely fit in both of my hands. His blue color had become even darker, even more aggressive, and his claws had taken on a menacingly pointed shape. I thought, well, okay, it happens. Maybe it's some kind of rare, fast-growing species. I started letting him out to walk around the room. He clicked comically on the laminate floor, explored the corners, and sometimes climbed onto the sofa and sat next to me. It looked funny, although his weight was already noticeably denting the cushions. Another 2 weeks passed. The time skips in my video diary were getting shorter because events began to unfold at a frightening speed. Cravitch grew to the size of a large bulldog. His shell became thick and rough, like the bark of an old tree, but retained that piercing blue shine. The ordinary aquarium had long since turned into a cramped box for him. He simply squeezed the glass out with one claw when he felt too tight. I had to move him to the floor. His diet also changed drastically. Caviar and squids were a thing of the past. Now I was buying whole carcasses of chilled chickens. I threw raw poultry at him, and he tore it apart with his massive claws in a matter of seconds, making a terrifying, slurping sound. I even bought a sturdy canvas harness and tried walking him outside. Picture this, a regular residential neighborhood, green lawns, and then I step out, holding a giant blue crab on a thick rope, waddling on its massive legs. Neighbors simply froze with their mouths open. Dogs hid behind their owners' backs. It was fun. My vlog views were skyrocketing, but a nasty, sticky feeling of anxiety began to brew inside me. He was growing way too fast, and he was always hungry. On the 60th day of the experiment, my house no longer belonged to me. Kraybitch had grown to the size of a compact car. He no longer fit through the doors, so I had to dismantle part of the wall to let him out into the backyard. I gave him my entire outdoor pool. The pool water was now always murky with food scraps, and gnawed bones littered the ground around it. I was spending all the money I earned from the videos just to feed him. I was ordering fish by the centner. When the truck delivered the frozen herring, I would just dump it right into the pool. The water would boil from his sharp movements as giant claws grabbed dozens of fish at a time. His eyes, set on thick stalks, now looked at me not with curiosity, but with cold, calculating calculation. The coziness was completely gone. A heavy stench of rotting fish and dampness constantly hung in the air. The plastic furniture in the backyard was ground to dust. The concrete paths were cracked under his weight. I was afraid to go out to him without a bucket of food. On the 80th day, I realized I had made a fatal mistake. I stood on the porch, clutching an empty basket, and watched this titan slowly rise from the pool. Water cascaded like waterfalls off his impenetrable blue shell. He towered over me, blocking out the sun. He had outgrown the fence. He had outgrown my house. I was frantically trying to figure out how to rent a heavy truck to take him to the ocean, but it was too late. He didn't need me anymore. With a deafening screech that popped my ears, his giant claw demolished the brick fence as if it were made of cardboard. Concrete blocks flew in all directions, crushing parked cars. The ground shook with his every step. I could only stand and watch as my creation, my content, walked out onto the city streets. Day 100. I am filming this from the roof of a surviving high-rise building on the outskirts. The sky is choked with thick, acrid black smoke. The air trembles from the heat of the fires and the continuous wail of sirens. What was once a cute pet in my aquarium is now a mountain of living armor as tall as a multi-story building. If anyone is watching this video, forgive me. I didn't know how to stop it. The camera tilts down, showing my trembling fingers covered in a layer of gray dust. But you know what the scariest part is? This morning, a courier left another package on my ruins. I didn't place any new orders, but this metal box, radiating an unbearable heat and a faint red glow, it's already here, and I think I hear something scratching inside. See you in the next video, if there's anyone left to watch it, of course.